Look at this time-lapse of a sprouting plant next to a stationary rock. Both are physical matter, but the plant is actively resisting entropy. That resistance requires continuous, unseen maintenance. Even when an organism appears still, it is performing a massive array of internal tasks to keep its cells functioning and prevent structural breakdown. These are known as life processes. This flowchart outlines the 4 core biological tasks required for survival. An organism must acquire fuel through nutrition, burn it for energy via respiration, distribute resources through transportation, and clear toxic byproducts through excretion. Whether it is a single-celled amoeba, a towering redwood tree, or a human student, the biological requirement is the same. Fail at any one of these 4 processes and the organism ceases to survive. The first requirement is fuel. Nutrition is the mechanism an organism uses to extract raw materials from its external environment and bring them inside its system. This branching flowchart maps 2 primary fuel strategies. First is autotrophic nutrition. Green plants are autotrophs, self-synthesizing their own food using ambient light energy. The second branch shows heterotrophic nutrition. These organisms cannot build fuel, remaining dependent on consuming other life forms for sustenance. Humans use holozoic nutrition. We ingest complex, solid food completely into our body before deploying internal enzymes to break it down through digestion. Not all plants are autotrophs. Cuscuta is a specific biological anomaly. It lacks chlorophyll and acts as a parasite, stealing pre-made nutrients directly from host plants. From solar-powered synthesis to direct parasitism, the strategies diverge, yet the goal remains identical: secure the chemical fuel necessary to run the machinery of life. For autotrophs, the chemical factory is the leaf, specifically the microscopic organelles inside the leaf cells known as chloroplasts. Inside the mesophyll cells, chlorophyll molecules absorb solar light energy. The plant uses this light to split incoming water molecules, expelling oxygen as exhaust. Finally, a reduction reaction forces the remaining hydrogen to bond with carbon dioxide, assembling glucose. Desert plants face a unique constraint. If they open pores during the day, extreme heat evaporates their water reserves. To survive, they absorb carbon dioxide at night and complete the synthesis when the sun rises. Photosynthesis operates as an industrial-scale, solar-powered molecular assembly line, meticulously calibrated to manufacture the foundational carbohydrates of the entire food chain. Human digestion relies on the alimentary canal, a single continuous hollow tube stretching from the mouth to the anus. Food enters the mouth, where salivary enzymes start chemical breakdown. Muscle contractions push it down the esophagus into the stomach for gastric dismantling. The small intestine, aided by the liver and pancreas, finalizes digestion and nutrient absorption. Finally, unabsorbable waste exits through the large intestine. Human digestion is a sequenced dismantling operation, breaking complex foreign matter into the simplest molecules, allowing the bloodstream to absorb and distribute them. Digestion successfully secured the fuel, but that fuel must be burned. Respiration is the chemical process cells use to extract usable energy. Inside the cytoplasm, a 6-carbon glucose molecule cracks into 2 3-carbon pyruvates. With oxygen, mitochondria dismantle pyruvate, yielding 38 ATP molecules. Lacking oxygen, human muscles convert it into lactic acid, causing cramps. Yeast, without oxygen, converts it to ethanol and carbon dioxide. Respiration acts as the true biological engine. The chemical pathway an organism uses dictates exactly how efficiently it converts raw food into the active currency of life. To run the aerobic engine, organisms require a physical mechanism to swap gases, drawing fresh oxygen in and venting toxic carbon dioxide out. Humans inhale air into the lungs, where tiny air sacs called alveoli transfer the oxygen directly to the hemoglobin molecules waiting in the red blood cells. Plants lack a centralized lung system. Instead, they facilitate gas exchange directly through microscopic pores, utilizing stomata on the leaves and lenticels along woody stems. This split screen illustrates a biological paradox. By day, plants run photosynthesis much faster than respiration, consuming more carbon dioxide than produced, yielding a net oxygen release. At night, photosynthesis stops. With only respiration running, the plant actively consumes oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. This chemical shift validates the traditional warning against sleeping under trees at night. At night, a tree acts as an oxygen consumer, competing with you for the local supply. Acquiring fuel and oxygen is only half the problem. Those resources must be forcefully delivered to every remote cell via the circulatory system. The heart operates as a muscular, mechanical pump, calibrated to pressurize blood and push it through miles of vascular tubing. Oxygen-rich blood leaves lungs, enters the left atrium, drops into the left ventricle, and is pumped out the aorta to the body. Deoxygenated blood returns via the vena cava to the right atrium, drops to the right ventricle, and is pumped back to the lungs. Because blood must pass through the central heart twice to complete one full systemic loop, this mechanism is classified as double circulation. This strict segregation ensures that oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood never physically mix, guaranteeing the high-pressure oxygen delivery required to sustain a complex, warm-blooded organism. Without a mechanical pump, a towering tree faces a severe gravitational challenge: how to transport raw materials hundreds of feet up into the canopy. The xylem tissue functions as an upward pipeline, utilizing pressure differentials to pull water and dissolved minerals from deep roots straight up to the leaves. Adjacent phloem tissue operates as a bidirectional highway, distributing manufactured glucose downward to roots and upward to growing branches. Plants overcome the absence of a heart by relying on these specialized dedicated pipelines, ensuring vital resources reach every branch and root tip. Every metabolic reaction we have covered produces toxic waste byproducts. If allowed to accumulate in the bloodstream, these chemicals become lethal. They are urgently removed through excretion. Waste-laden blood enters the kidneys to be filtered. The resulting urine travels down the ureters, is temporarily held in the urinary bladder, and is ultimately expelled through the urethra. The actual filtration occurs at the microscopic level. This diagram zooms into the kidney's functional unit, the nephron. It begins at Bowman's capsule, which surrounds a dense tangle of capillaries called the glomerulus. First, glomerular filtration uses high blood pressure to force raw fluid, toxic waste and nutrients, out of capillaries into Bowman's capsule. As filtrate moves through the twisting tube, selective reabsorption pulls vital water, amino acids, and glucose back into the bloodstream. In tubular secretion, remaining fluid is packed with concentrated metabolic waste. This isolated liquid forms urine, directed out of the nephron toward the bladder. The kidneys function as highly precise chemical regulators, maintaining the exact internal balance of water and nutrients while stripping metabolic waste from the blood. These four biological processes are not isolated activities. They operate as a deeply interconnected, simultaneous loop. This matrix visualizes the complete system. Nutrition inputs the raw chemical fuel. Respiration burns that fuel to release energy. Transportation delivers the resources where they are needed, and excretion actively purges the toxic exhaust. Mastering these four interconnected pillars reveals the core logic of biological survival, providing a clear framework for understanding both cellular biology and board exam preparation.